The King of Schnorrers by Israel Zangwill. Read by Adrian Pretzelis. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to find out how you can volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The King of Schnorrers by Israel Zangwill. Chapter 4. Showing how the royal wedding was arranged. Manasseh Bueno Barzillai Azevedo da Costa was so impressed by his would-be son-in-law's last argument that he perpended it in silence for a full minute. When he replied, his tone showed even more respect than had been infused into it by the statement of the aspirant's income. Manasseh was not one of those to whom money is a fetish. He regarded it merely as something to be had for the asking. It was intellect for which he reserved his admiration. That was strictly not transferable. "It is true," he said, "that if I yielded to your importunities and gave you my daughter, you would thereby have approved yourself a king of Schnorrers, of a rank suitable to my daughters. But an analysis of your argument will show that you are begging the question." "What more proof do you want of my begging powers?" demanded Yankele, spreading out his palms and shrugging his shoulders. "Much greater proof," replied Manasseh. "I ought to have some instance of your powers. The only time I have seen you trying to schnorr, you failed." "Me? When?" exclaimed Yankele indignantly. "Why, this very night, when you asked young Weinstein for his dead father's clothes." "But he had already given them away," protested the Pole. "What of that? If anyone had given away my clothes, I should have demanded compensation. You really must be above rebuffs of that kind, Yankele, if you are to be my son-in-law. No, no, I remember the dictum of the sages. To give your daughter to an uncultured man is like throwing her bound to a lion." "But you have also seen me schnorr mit success," remonstrated the suitor. "Never," protested Manasseh vehemently. "Often." "From whom?" "From you," said Yankele boldly. "From me?" sneered Manasseh, accentuating the pronoun with infinite contempt. "What does that prove? I am a generous man. The test is to schnorr from a miser." "I will schnorr from a miser," announced Yankele desperately. "You will?" "Yes. Choose your miser." "No, I leave it to you," said da Costa politely. "Well, Sam Lazarus, the butcher's shop." "No, not Sam Lazarus. He once gave a Schnorrer I know 11p." "11p?" incredulously murmured Yankele. "Yes, it was the only way he could pass a shilling. It wasn't bad, only cracked, but he could get no one to take it except a Schnorrer. He made the man give him a penny change, though. 'Tis true the man afterwards laid out the shilling at Lazarus's shop. Still, a really good miser would have added that cracked shilling to his hoard rather than the perfect penny." "No," argued Yankele. "There would be no difference, since he does not spend." "True," said da Costa reflectively. "But by the same token, a miser is not the most difficult person to tackle." "How do you make that out?" "Is it not obvious? Already we see Lazarus giving away 11p. A miser who spends nothing on himself may, in exceptional cases, be induced to give away something. It is the man who indulges himself in every luxury and gives away nothing who is the hardest to schnorr from. He has a use for his money himself. If you diminish his store, you hurt him in the tenderest part. You rob him of creature comforts. To schnorr from such a one I should regard as a higher and nobler thing than to schnorr from a mere miser." Well, name your man." "No, I couldn't think of taking it out of your hands," said Manasseh again with his stately bow. "Whomever you select I will abide by. If I could not rely on your honour, would I dream of you as a son-in-law?" "Den I vill go to Mendel Jacobs of Mary Axe." "Mendel Jacobs? Oh, no. Why, he is married. A married man cannot be entirely devoted to himself." "Vy not? Is not a wife a creature comfort? Perhaps also she comes cheaper dan a housekeeper."
"We will not argue it. I will not have Mendel Jacobs."
"Simon Kalatsky, the wine merchant."
"He? Oh, he is quite generous with his snuff box. I have myself been offered a pinch. Of course I did not accept it."
Yankele selected several other names, but Manasseh barred them all, and at last had an inspiration of his own.
"Isn't there a rabbi in your community whose stinginess is proverbial? Let me see, what is his name?"
"A rabbi?" murmured Yankele disingenuously, while his heart began to palpitate with alarm.
"Yes, isn't there Rabbi Bloater?"
Yankele shook his head. Ruin stared him in the face. His fondest hopes were crumbling.
"I know it's some fishy name. Rabbi Haddock. No, it isn't. It's Rabbi Remorse something."
Yankele saw it was all over with him. "Perhaps you mean Rabbi Remorse Red Herring," he said feebly, for his voice failed him.
"Ah, yes, Rabbi Remorse Red Herring," said Manasseh. "From all I hear, for I have never seen the man, a king of guzzlers and toppers, and the meanest of mankind. Now, if you could dine with him, you might indeed be called a king of Schnorrers."
Yankele was pale and trembling. "But he is married," he urged with a happy thought.
"Dine with him tomorrow,"
said Manasseh inexorably.
"He fares extra royally on the Sabbath. Obtain admission to his table, and you shall be admitted into my family."
"But you do not know the man. It is impossible," cried Yankele.
"That is the excuse of the bad Schnorrer. You have heard my ultimatum. No dinner, no wife, no dowry."
"What would this dowry be?" asked Yankele by way of diversion.
"Oh, unique, quite unique. First of all, there would be all the money she gets from the synagogue. Our synagogue gives considerable dowries to portionless girls. There are large bequests for the purpose."
Yankele's eyes glittered. "Ah, what gentlemen you Spaniards be!"
"Then I dare say I should hand over to my son-in-law all my Jerusalem land."
"Have you property in the Holy Land?" said Yankele.
"First class, with an unquestionable title. And of course I would give you some province or other in this country."
"What?" gasped Yankele.
"Could I do less?" said Manasseh blandly. "My own flesh and blood, remember. Ah, here is my door. It is too late to ask you in. Good Sabbath. Don't forget your appointment to dine with Rabbi Remorse Red Herring tomorrow."
"Good Sabbath," faltered Yankele, and crawled home heavily hearted to Dinah Building's Tripe Yard, Whitechapel, where the memory of him lingers even unto this day. Rabbi Remorse Red Herring was an unofficial preacher who officiated at morning services in private houses, having a gift of well-turned eulogy. He was a big burly man, with overlapping stomach and a red beard, and his spiritual consolations drew tears. His clients knew him to be vastly self-indulgent in private life, and abstemious in the matter of benevolence, but they did not confound the roles. As a morning preacher he gave every